Well, good morning, everybody. It is the 29th of June of 2023, and albatrosses are dying. This is not a good thing. Albatrosses, as some of you might know, have the largest, widest wingspan of any bird around today. And they're giant seagulls is what they are. And they spend a lot of time at sea. Well, these animals will make nests on remote islands because they can freaking do that. They can just fly wherever they want and get away from everything. But what people have done is introduced invasive species to these islands as they go in and visit them. And this has been an issue across the world where many species that live on islands cannot cope with the invasives. So that is what this article is about. And it's already making me irritated. Mice had previously been seen attacking seabird chicks, but in April, researchers found 8 dead adults, and this new development is concerning conservationists. Adult albatrosses on a remote island are being attacked and eaten by aggressive invasive species, mice. Invasive mice have been wreaking havoc on the ecosystem of Marion Island, located about halfway between South Africa and Antarctica. For decades, chowing down on native invertebrates and the chicks of many seabirds that bred there. But the latest discovery is the first time they've documented attacking adult albatrosses on the island. If the mice are starting to attack adults, that's becoming really problematic. Maylee Conan, sorry for pronouncing your name wrong, a researcher at Nelson Mandela University in South Africa, told Live Science. About 115 square miles, Marion Island is about half the size of Chicago, but is home to an impressive array of wildlife, including king penguins, elephant seals, and seabirds like wandering albatrosses, one of the world's largest flying birds. The island wasn't home to any non-marine mammals until about the 19th century, when house mice were introduced by humans via ship. Since then, mice have decimated many of the invertebrates and plant species that live there, but in recent decades, the local mouse population has boomed, likely as a result of warmer and drier weather due to climate change, of course. As the mouse population has grown, so has their appetite, and in 2003, researchers discovered that the mice have started eating the chicks of wandering albatrosses on the island. Now, it seems that mice have begun feasting on adult birds. In April, researchers found the bodies of 8 adult wandering albatrosses that had died within weeks of each other. The carcasses showed evidence of mouse attacks, such as wounds on their elbows, Conan said. News of this discovery was first reported in Nature Africa. Blood patterns suggest the injuries were inflicted while the birds were still alive, the report said. Wandering albatrosses have a 10-foot, 3-meter wingspan, so are significantly bigger than mice. Thanks for that. But they evolved to live on islands without any mammalian predators and have no defense mechanisms against the invasive rodents. A seabird researcher with the Mouse-Free Marion Project told Live Science. The project is an initiative of the South African government and the nonprofit organization BirdLife South Africa. It's not clear exactly how the albatrosses died, but it could be due to the infection from the mouse bites or even starvation if the birds were too injured to go out to sea and find food. Wolfart said. I almost said Wolfart. Long-term, this predation could have a significant impact on the global wandering albatross population, about a quarter of which lives on Marion Island. Jesus. Mice have also recently been observed attacking adult albatrosses and other seabird hotspots, such as Tristan albatrosses on Go Islands in the South Atlantic, and Laysan albatrosses on Midway Atoll in the Pacific. That's a worrying trend for this threatened group of birds. Of the 22 species of albatrosses worldwide, 9 are listed as endangered or critically endangered. On Marion, there's a plan to fight back. The Mouse-Free Marion Project is planning to spread rodenticide all over the island, which conservationists hope will kill the mice, Wolfhart said. The local native seabirds mostly look for food in the ocean, and native invertebrates aren't affected by rodenticide, he said. So this technique would only target the invasive mice living on the island. If it's successful, the Marion Island ecosystem may finally start to heal. Once those introduced predators and invasive species are removed, Wolfhart said, you can really then kind of start the process of turning back the clock. I am conflicted. The reason I say I'm conflicted is because, yes, mice are a huge issue, a very huge issue. All over the world where there are small islands, or even where there are, like anywhere where rodents are introduced, they do too good of a job of adapting and surviving. They are very good at what they do. And there's a reason that mice would probably be the next animals besides cockroaches to turn into sentient life, because they do so well. I'm sure that there are other animals that would come first, but they take over. They are one of those species of animals that the only reason that they aren't everywhere is because they don't have a means to get there. And we gave them that means to get there, which is an issue. But a couple things I wanted to touch on while reading this. Climate change blames everything. What climate change does is blame people, which in this case, it is people's fault. Not climate change, not the... Okay, before I go any further on the climate change thing, there is man-made aspects of climate change, absolutely. We definitely don't help things. But we are also in a cycle. What I don't understand is you look at throughout history, when the dinosaurs were around 65 million years ago, climate was a lot warmer. There were forests on Antarctica. Like, that's what I don't understand about how, like, do we need to cut down on carbon emissions? For sure. For sure. We need to figure out a better way to do things so that things are cleaner. 100%. But every single issue that comes up, probably because of climate change, that is a scapegoat. That is a scapegoat to get rid. Like, animals adapt over time. That is like their whole thing. That is how species become, like, certain species become different species. An animal escapes to an island and only reproduces with the animals that are on that island, and they adapt slowly over time to live on that island. Sometimes there's gigantism, sometimes there's dwarfism, sometimes a tortoise will grow a long neck, sometimes there are so many differences on islands. Islands are like a microcosm of, like, they cause animals to adapt a lot quicker than on a mainland. If these mice have been there for a while, even if it's a few hundred years, they quickly adapt to life on that island. And then all of a sudden, maybe there's something different about these mice now. They made those small little adjustments where now all of a sudden it's like, okay, this is our home now. We've been here long enough. Like, they have their own lore and religions about their ancestors who landed on this island. And all of a sudden, now they're like, now there's our time. This is the golden age of mice on this island. Like, that's like, I'm making a joke, but at the same time, like, that could very well be the case. Like, saying climate change is a reason that all of a sudden this is happening is a fucking scapegoat. And they do it all the time. Whenever you read an article, it's always climate change. It's because you don't know why it's happening. You're going to blame climate change because climate change needs to be responsible for everything, so everybody's scared. Is it something we need to take seriously? Absolutely. But it's not the scapegoat for everything. Animals, it's the bigotry of low expectations, I think. Like, those of you who know what bigotry of low expectations is, it's when you like, it's like when people went to Africa to look for Solomon's gold or whatever, or Solomon's tomb, and the natives there were like, yeah, there's all this here, and the people who were the scientists who went there were like, huh, this looks so advanced. There's no way the natives could have done this. It must have been aliens or whatever it was. Like they say that some greater force came in and did it. It's like, oh, these people couldn't have done this because they're these people. It's the bigotry. It's saying that that the populations aren't smart enough or aren't good enough to do the thing that is incredible. Animals are incredible. People are incredible. We find ways to get things done. Mice might just be getting to that point where they're taking over this island. And we're sitting here like, I'm going on a rant about climate change. I get it. But like, it frustrates me to no end that that's the way that people look at things. Animals are incredible. And even if it's a mouse that we're frustrated is there because they were introduced and they are killing the native populations, they have adapted to live on this island. And now they're starting to take over. And if they are going after these albatrosses, something obviously needs to be done about this. Poison is the other thing. Poison never works. Poison always has bad repercussions. Well, I don't think it's going to cause any problems because the birds eat off at sea. We don't know everything about these birds. What if they are eating some of the mice? We don't know. They don't know. They haven't seen the mice kill these birds, so obviously they're not around them when this happens. What if the albatrosses are eating them? And all of a sudden now, your albatrosses get wiped out. And like 5 years from now, they're going to be like, we shouldn't have done that because all this, we didn't know that they were actually doing this, or it has some unseen consequence. There are ways to do it. It's like, it's literally the same thing as if they release a bunch of foxes on the island and been like, all right, the foxes are going to eat the mice. Oh, they also ate the albatrosses. Are bad. Like, cane toads, releasing cane toads to eat the cane beetles. And all of a sudden now the dogs are dying because, they're eating these cane toads, and people are like, oh my gosh, we shouldn't have done that. It's always the case. I hope because this is on an island that the genie's not let out of the bag, but it's a rodent. It's kind of hard to get that genie back in the bottle. I hope they can figure out a way to do this with minimal issues, but it usually doesn't work out that way. But what do I know? I'm just a guy who has opinions. Who likes guys with opinions? Not many people. Anyways, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think. Do you think I'm off base here? Do you think I'm right? Let me know down below. As always, I'm going to put it down in the description below. Check out my Discord. We're trying to get that thing popping. We're trying to get that thing going, and we got a decent amount of people in there now. Let's get some more people in there. If you've watched up to this point, you obviously like the content. Go check out the Discord. Discord, it's DNA_reptiles, and then I'll also put the link down below that'll have, all the letters and stuff. But thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Stay wild.